Hello, everyone. It's me. It's, it's the Yesterday show tonight. It's going to be good tonight. I know you say that every week, but it's going to be good. It really is. And you'll find out where I live. What tonight's about? It's about two communities coming together. Two communities. But I'm talking about migrants coming together. Two communities during the 18th century. Not the 18th century, the 19th century, the 1800s. And it says it's fascinating, really, the way we look at Liverpool, the way it is today. And strangely enough, someone sent me through a, um, a stream. And when I went on the stream, it was in America. It was an American stream. Yours truly's on it. And who is this guy, There's all this thing. And it was quite good, actually, because even Jason looked at it and he said, it's unique, he said. Because one of the lads last week on the comments said, "You're famous in America." I didn't know what he was talking about. And it's only through this particular thing, which is good. It's not, but it's good for the city, to be honest, to be recognised what Liverpool is all about. Excuse me, because this certain podcaster, when the Beatles were mentioned, he said, "Wow, I didn't know they came from there." So it just shows you, doesn't it? It just shows you. And, so it was really good what this podcaster was saying. He was only a young fella. I'd say in his 20s, late 20s. And it was really good. And the good vibes from Liverpool as well, which was great. So, I'm glad that I'm doing this particular thing tonight about two communities together, coming together. And you'll understand why when we do it. I'll just go over to the sideline football, and he's not coming up, unfortunately. And I can't get it on. I hope Jason sorts it out, to put up the comments. Oh, there we go. Hi, Frank, says the sideline football show. Hiya, mate. You're okay? Try and stay with us, mate. You might find it interesting. Well, you will find it interesting. And I can't get Paul Taylor on. I don't know what's wrong. Maybe it's me. No, it's not me. Good evening, Frank. Hope you're okay, says Paul Taylor. And KP. Good evening, Paul. I'm sorry. And every time I click, nothing's coming up. Can you, Jay? I can't. Is there anything wrong? Because I'd just like to click on and the comments come up. Yeah, he's sorting it for me. Anyway, KP says, good evening, Frank and fellow chat participants. We've got our posh people on tonight and fellow chat participants. You can't make these up. You can't make them up. Wait till Anthony comes on. He'll laughing his little head off. I don't know where they are. I don't know where. This is terrible. Anyway, let's see where my little. No, is he still? No, I've got it. No, oh no, he's working on it. He's still working on it because I'm absolutely useless. Right? I can't even bring Anthony on. He'll be having a sleep anyway. Well, a sleep bored. That's nuts. But anyway, Jason will always sort things out. He'll always sort things out. I wonder if someone's blocked me. I know he's working because I've got the other monitor on, you see, as well. And he's working on that. But let me tell you who I'll be talking about tonight. I'll be talking about the Irish and the Italians when they came over, into Liverpool. Don't forget that both the Italians that came into Liverpool and the Irish that came into Liverpool, they were on the way to America. They were on the way to America. And they got stuck here because of you had to wait for these passengers, like steerage passengers. And they had to wait for that. So they had to wait a few months. But in the meantime, they got work. I've gone completely. I'm sorry, most probably you can hear me. But hello. I just went blank. It's mad. He's still working on it. And I know why, actually. I know why it's gone all funny. Simply because I upgraded the Wi-Fi and everything else. I upgraded it. And Shane we go. Evening, Shane, and a pint of Frank. So you see, and he had to sort it all out again because it went completely blank on me today. My Wi-Fi internet, it just shut down, and it's just absolutely nuts, honestly. And he's got to sort out what I'm talking about because it's very important what I'm talking about. I'm awfully sorry about this. But anyway, it's the Italians and it's the Irish. And when they came over, I'll tell you, in a moment or two, why they came together. And I'm just waiting. I'm still looking at you. I'm awfully sorry. I watched that movie, Knox Goes Away. Wow. Thank you. I've gone again. Yes, there you go. And Jesus, I don't think you're not seeing what he's doing. It's incredible, It's incredible. And he's only come home from work. He hasn't had to see yet. And he has to put up with me. I think that's it. And Lynn says, evening, Frank. Hope you're good. Thank you, Lynn. Yes. There you see. Jason. Has it gone again? No. The vlogs. Hello, Frank. How's you? Okay. Oh, wait, I was panicking about 20 seconds ago. There you are. Hi, Frank and Anthony. Hope you're both fine. Thank you. We'll be having Anthony on in a moment or two. I'm not that posh, Frank. I'm from Page Moss, says the vlogs. Page Moss, eh? The Anfield Raw, even a Frankie. Because all them for Frank. And the chat too, even an old chat. He's great, the Anfield. Unbelievable. Thank you. And Lynn says, most of the Irish came in the potato famine. Yes. That's when my family came. Yes. So right there. I'll be talking about that, to be honest, Lynn. My great-grandfather came over to Liverpool because of the genocide. That is KP. KP, absolutely brilliant. Jason's just sent me a message. I'll tell you what he says. I've been bringing up me now. Yeah. Yeah, okay, Jay, thank you. And honestly, I won't swear. I promise you, I won't swear. Yeah, and Anthony won't swear either because we know that Anthony swears a lot. So he said that he won't swear. He's given me a nod. I believe Anthony swears. It's like talking to a priest when you talk to Anthony, you know. Can't swear. Gary Rigby. Good evening, ladies and James. I think some girls call us James, to be honest. Fantastic. Gary Rigby, Irish, Italians, Chinese, West Africans, Welsh made up Liverpool. What about the Armenians? What about the Japanese? Hey, what about the French? The Norwegians? There's loads of them, Gary. Loads of them. And part of our accent is from Norway, the Norwegians. You speak through the nose. Anyway, very nasal, and the Norges are very nasally people. Anyway, just came across me as I'm always looking at Liverpool's history. I wonder what used to be here in Page Moss, Frank. Moss. Moss. That's what it was. Very, very mossy ground. Hence, Page Moss. It's like Penny Lane, you know. But it was off, it should have been off Penny Lane, to be honest. Yeah, you're right. Farmland. Very boggy farmland. This is a family show, says Gary Rigby. Why is anyone swearing? My husband's gran and her family came over when she was 3 in 1912 from Limerick and settled in Everton Valley. Scottish as well on my side, says Vera. Yeah, you know, I meant to say Scottish as well. Meant to say Scottish, I'm sorry if I've left anyone out. There's loads, even the melting pot, even the French. French were here. Of course, Frank, I have to go on with more than Norwegians. Yes, yeah, you're right there, Gary. I'm going to bring my mate on, who you can't swear in front of. And there he is, the great Anthony, the great artist Anthony. And there he is.
Good evening, Frank. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Welcome, chat.
Isn't it great?
It is great. I mean, I'm totally involved in the show. First couple of minutes there, Frank, because I'm Irish descent on my mum's side, Scottish on my dad's. My dad lived up in Everton Way, along with lots and lots of other Scottish people, and my mum round the corner from yourself, down in Wright Street, Scotland Road.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Do you know we were talking about swearing?
Yeah, I haven't even started yet.
Jason's just sent me a message, and you know Jason's, don't you?
Yeah.
He's only got to put one of these cloths on, you know what I mean? He'd be a priest, him. And he says, I swear every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. What he's getting at is, you know, the pods that go up there. Incredible. And it's crazy. Go on, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Ben.
That's just part of the excitement.
Yeah.
Never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. 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 And Lynn says, Vera, same with me, Irish, Scottish, both the Jameson's whiskey there. And she says, evening, Anthony, says Lynn.
Oh, evening, Lynn. Well.
And the vlog says, yeah, I think the oldest part of Iton still left is the church on the corner. Two dogs fighting. very famous as Iton, you know. It's at the that's where the Italians prisoners of war were kept up there. Iton. And there's somewhere, I forget where it is now, and it's got a fantastic, you know, it's like a room, whatever it is, but the Italians made it like into a church. There's an altar, it has it. Whether it's still there today, I just don't know. I just don't know. And as Gary says, not forgetting the Manx, as in the Isle of Man. Yeah, absolutely. And KP, a true Scouser's DNA is a complete mix.
Yeah.
Bang on. Bang on. And I've no Irish on mine, but mine came from Glasgow and Lanarkshire, lived in the Georgian Quarter. Oh, you would, well, you was, wouldn't you, live in the Georgian Quarter? You're too posh for this show. There. Catholic and Italians lived together on one side of town, and the Protestants lived on the other side, close to the docks, or so I was told. Welcome to fruition during the pod, KP. But you're right, really. And there was a Viking ship found as well, not far from the church, but can never find much info on it. You won't. You won't, unfortunately. You won't. And before we carry on, I just want to thank our sponsors of the Frank Carlyle Show, which is Gap Painting Services. And Gap Painting Services, there you have it there. The wonderful people, honestly, with Christmas coming up, and you're saying that, you know, you need a room doing or a ceiling doing, or anything to it, just get them in. The first class. They really are. Not only are they first class, but the fully time served lads, fully insured. This is what it's all about. And if you're an NHS worker, you know, you're in and out of the hospital, you're getting on these mad shifts that they seem to be doing, and you can't do anything, you know, you can't like decorate it, whatever. Get them in because you get a special discount. And if you're a senior, you know, and getting a boat or whatever, and holding a paintbrush or a roller or whatever, get them in because you get a special discount too. And as I said, the first class people, they're in and out. They'd even make you a cup of tea. They would, without them asking, without you asking. And they're lovely people. So anyway, that's Gap Painting Services, the sponsors of the Frank Carlyle Show. Get them in. They're good. So what I've got is, you know, an area of where they lived, and these people, they lived around this area. They lived around the Scotland Road area. And when you look at the Scotland Road area, it's fab, honestly, it really is fab, because you have, I'll tell you why they went there. Any migrants that come into a city, no matter where you are in the world, always head for the nearest river. And that's been going on through the centuries. Do you know why? Simply because it's the quickest route out of where you've just landed. That's why. And that's why a lot of, no matter where you are in the world, you see hell of a lot of cities all on the river. And then it became ideal for trade, ships coming in, just the way you see the docks now. And he's working on it again. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry about this. Right, am I working on this now? See, I see that little thing going all over the place. Just see it going all over the place. Can I work on this now? No.
There you go.
No. No. I'm sorry about this, I really am. See, you've got the city centre there. Let me just go. Let's see. No. No. Oh, yeah, I know what to do. Sorry about this, cop. I'm useless, you know. Absolutely useless. I can't, like, I don't like working on. Where am I? There I am. There I am. I'm sorry about this. I had it great last week, but it's getting the traction on me mouse. Dare I say. I'm sorry about this because we had a map up before, and when Jason was fixing what he needed to be fixed, it was a great map. And unfortunately, he couldn't get it back up there. So he's had to put the old map on from last week. Maybe he'll try it here on the break, I don't know. I just don't know. So I'm sorry about that. Right, so let's see where we are on this. Let's see where we are. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Yeah. I know where I am now. I know where I am. And if you go up here, this is Scotland Road. Right along here. Sorry. This is Scotland Road. Right there. Believe it or not, that's Everton. There. This was all farmland. He's getting that. Yeah, this is all farmland. This is Scotland Road here. Right down, right through, right down to Byram Street. Right down. You know, Scotland Place, then Byram Street. Just where the Mersey Tunnel is. The Queensway. Bottom of St John's Gardens. What you have with this particular area, all around here, when the Catholics were emancipated, whereas they could build churches in 1830, they were emancipated, where they could build churches. And I'll give you an example. St Oswald's Church up in the Old Swan, that was the very first Catholic church with a steeple. In the north of England, because they had to look as though inconspicuous, put it that way. Churches, Catholic churches. And you get the likes of St Anthony's on Scotland Road. Oh, this is all I'm saying, you know. That was like a pitched roof. Still hasn't got a steeple today. So St Oswald's, they were made up. They said, yeah, build a steeple. And the fellow who built it was Welby Pooja, one of the greatest of all architects. He dies at the age of 42. He built hundreds of churches and 16 cathedrals. And yet he dies at the age of 42. So you can imagine the amount of work he was putting in. So he did that. Now, why I've said that is because when the Irish came over in 1847, it was the Irish influx, what you call the influx of the Irish, 1847. It was 2 years after the famine, the 1845 famine, but it was still going on, albeit that the influx was into Liverpool. It was still going on, the famine. And what you've got is these people who came into, they were illiterate and they spent days on the boat coming over. Don't forget, it wasn't like steam or anything. These were sailing boats. And by the time they got here, they were disorientated because they thought that they were on the way to America. They didn't want to come to England. They just did not want to come to England because of what the English was doing to them. What the English was doing to them. And as George Bernard Shaw said during this famine, he said, how could there be a famine when the country was full of food? And that's a unique and truthful observation by George Bernard Shaw, because it was full of food. It was. They even, they call it the potato famine, that the potato famine wiped out all the potatoes. It didn't. It's wiped out the potatoes in a place called Strokestown. And they were still exporting potatoes over to England, would you believe, during the famine. Because this fella, Major John Ross Mann, he owns all this Strokestown. It was given to him by his family, by Cromwell, because he slaughtered so many Irish. He killed the most Irish, so he said, yeah, you can have this land. So he inherited the land from the 1640s. And by the time it came up to the famine, he wanted to rid of these people working on the land. And in real reality, it was their land. It was confiscated by the English. So this inheritance, he didn't like them working on the land because they were Catholic. And he got rid of them. He was getting rid of them. And they were starving. He bought, you've got to understand this, a potato crop, potatoes were imported by Sir Walter Raleigh during the 1580s. And they came here, and it was a nourishable food. It went over to Ireland, and they grew it. They grew the potatoes. So it was introduced by Sir Walter Raleigh, along with tobacco, believe it or not. That was introduced at the same time. So Sir Walter Raleigh, brought in these potatoes. They went to, because Ireland has this arable ground, fertilised ground, beautiful. You could grow anything there. You could grow anything in Ireland. And what has happened was, these potatoes, Major John Ross Mann, these crops that came in from America and were planted, we was importing them as well. Here in England, we were importing them. And that was in 1644. 1643. What am I talking about? 1843 they came over. And they were planted. But they weren't only planted in the home counties of England, but the French and the Belgian, they brought in a lot of potatoes too from America, same time. And so the potato blight destroyed the crops in France, northern France, and also in Belgium. Destroyed them, and it was a potato blight. But also it destroyed the potatoes in the home counties. So that was in 1644. In 1644, allegedly, Major John Ross Mann got a batch of the rotten potatoes and brought them over to Strokestown and planted to get rid of the Irish once and for all. To get rid of the Irish once and for all. Which was shocking, because we know what happened. Hundreds of thousands of deaths. And what did the English do to alleviate it? They done nothing. They built workhouses instead. Workhouses by 1846 to stop the flow of people on the march. But anyway, by the time they got to Liverpool, they thought that they were on the way to America. By the time they, as I said, got here, they thought, we don't want to be here, we don't want the English. But unfortunately, you had terrible diseased Irish here in Liverpool, what you call louse-borne disease. Louse-borne diseases. And when they get here, they had to put on a ship, and they put these people on there, louse-borne, but it was spreading like wildfire in Liverpool. In Liverpool. Others, they got back on the ships and went over to America. And a couple of ships on the Hudson River were quarantined, just like the quarantine here on the Mersey. The ships, they wouldn't allow them off because they were louse-borne. I mentioned St. Oswald's. St. Oswald's buried more Irish immigrants than anybody else. Thousands. I used to work teaching not far from where I live now. And when they would decided to build something, the workers went in. And what they did, what they found, they had to put up black screens all around the site. Black screens. Because what they found there were 2,000 bodies buried of Irish. It was shocking. You see, when the Irish came in 1847, they went right to Scotland Road, where St. Anthony's was, because they wanted to follow their religion. They wanted to follow their religion. And that's where they started to build their community around St. Anthony's Church. And then later on, you had the Italians coming over by the 1870s. The Italians were coming over, but they were coming over to where? And they were coming over because they were sent for. And they were called the Terrazzo Flores. They specialised in mosaic. So they came over. But also you had ordinary Italian immigrants on the way from here, which was the gateway to the New World, which was America. And they were coming in on the way to America. On the way to America. And you get the likes of some families coming through that went on to America, where their offspring became presidents of the United States. Most famous of all is John F. Kennedy, his family. Wow. His dad, Joseph Kennedy. So you had that, which was incredible. Even Richard Nixon, his family came through from America. to America from Ireland, from Liverpool to America. So this is what you have, the Irish here. You had the Italians now. They started to come in. And even my own family, they came over. My family, the Italian side of the family. And they were split up because by the time they got here, half of them had already booked passage to America. So they went. While they said, well, all right, we'll see you when you get your passage, because there was a waiting list. There was a waiting list. So my side of the family, they got work. One of them was a musician. He had a big barrel organ. And another fellow was great with numbers. He was a genius with numbers. And he became a bookmaker. A bookmaker. That was my granddad. That was my granddad. And the music fella became a boxer. And he was famous in Liverpool at the time. He was famous as a boxer. And he played the mouth organ. And then his mate, actually, and he fought him a few times as well, Nell Charlton. They used to dance together. Yeah. Or he played the mouth organ.
Yeah.
So famous. You see, it's that sort of thing about these Irish, about the Italians. So they live together. They live side by side. And I'm going to show you something here now. Have a look at this. Beep. Beep. Now that's where my family lived, and that's Gerrard Street. And the thing that you can see there, that little cart, is Capaldi's, Sant'Angeli's, no, they were our cousins, the Sant'Angeli, all related. And that was their ice cream, gelati, ice cream. So that was Gerrard Street. That's where they grew up. Look how clean it is.
Yeah.
Spotless, This is the prize of working classes. And there it is, Gerrard Street. And it's brilliant, actually, because I was there when that plaque was being put up. I was there on the day. Funny enough, I was giving a talk in the concert room at St. George's Hall. So I got down there. I was just in time, for the unveil. I forget the lady's name, Italian consul, and she was unveiling it. And I had to shoot off, to give this talk. And I was made up because I told the audience, what I just see the ceremony. And that's a plaque. The unfortunate thing is, it was put up, say like it was put up on the Wednesday, and it was gone on the Thursday.
Oh,
and there it is. There it is. It's a pity I can't this is where it is. This is where, it's a pity I can't get that up. But that's Gerrard Street there, right in the heart of Liverpool, going right down to Byrom Street and Scotland Road, right there. That's a pity.
Yeah.
It's a pity. But anyway, now this is where I grew up, where you can see John Gianelli, that big tenement block there, beautiful Art Deco at its best, at its finest, and they pulled it down in the 80s, which is a crime, to be honest. That's where I grew up. That's where I grew up. Gerard Gardens there, right there. And Johnny Gianelli and his brother Frank, they sold the best fishing chips on the planet. Honestly, the best chips ever. And they were that good that Frank Sinatra told Frankie Lane to go there.
Go there for his tea.
Frankie Lane.
Oh,
Because Sinatra, what has happened was, Anthony, Sinatra was appearing at the stadium, the Empire, and he felt a bit hungry. He was rehearsing, and he said to one of the stage hands, he said, "Can I get anything to eat around here?" And he said, "Yeah, Gianelli's." He said, "Gianelli's, that Italian?" He said, "I don't know." He didn't know. He said, "Well, Gianelli's, they sell fish and chips." And he said, "Can you get me some?" He said, "Yeah, sure." And he went, and he got them, brought them back to Sinatra. He said, "Oh, they were gorgeous." And at Gianelli's, is it Gianelli? He said, "Yeah, Gianelli's." So he said, "Okay." So when he was in New York and he was giving a concert, who was there was Frankie Lane. And he's brought back after the show and that. And he said, "We're going down to Vegas. Do you fancy coming down to Vegas, seeing us there? Even there singing and all that?" He said, "No." He said, "I'm on my way during the week I'm doing a European tour." He said, "I'm in England." And he mentioned a few cities. And when he mentioned Liverpool, he mentioned Gianelli's. He said, because he said he was appearing at the Liverpool Empire. And he said, "Go to the Italian restaurant." He said, "You won't be disappointed."
wow.
And he went along. He said, he asked the stage. He said, "Where's this Gianelli?" So anyway, he brought him along. He said, "Yeah, there it is there." Can you imagine Frankie Lane looking at that? He said, "Some little restaurant this." So anyway, he walks in and he's standing in the queue. And he said, "Johnny," I don't know whether, well, it must have been Johnny because he was very vociferous. And he said, it was all kids because it was lunchtime, because all the kids used to go in for their chips. Anyway, he went out. He said, "Excuse me." He said, "Mr. Sinatra, Frank Sinatra told me to come to this restaurant." He said, "All right." He said, "I'm serving these kids here. They're on the dinner hour." He said, "Yeah, I'll go and sit down." And there was a little pew with a little table, and he sat there. And he waited for all the kids to go. And anyway, he had some chips and pie or fish, whatever it was he had. And he said it was delicious. But that's a true story. What happened to Sinatra and Frankie Lane? It's incredible. Incredible.
Absolutely.
So, and that's that place, beautiful place, great memories. Absolutely brilliant. Look at that. And there it is, Richmond Row. Do you know it's got the Richmond Row there, right?
Yeah.
The top of Richmond Row in a street called Solva Street, Solva, right?
Yeah.
Lived Paul McCartney's granddad.
Oh,
And he was
okay.
in the local band there. Do you know a little local band? He used to have a bandstand
Yeah.
at top of Richmond Row. And the bandstand, obviously a band. And he was a clarinet player, Paul McCartney's granddad.
Wow.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Absolutely.
I think it's fabulous. I really do. I just think it's absolutely fabulous. What we find out about the Italians and the Irish. But I haven't finished with them yet. Obviously, can I just go through a few comments because of these lovely people? I'll just go through, see what they're saying. I'll just go from Gary up here and go there. James MK, on airing the numbers that either died of starvation or left in coffin ships, it was over 2.5 million. Charles Trevelyan, who was in charge, said it should have been double that, said with disappointment. Yeah. See, it was decimated, the population, it was decimated, Ireland, with the starvation. I used to put it at more like 3.5 million died. There was a lad named, what was his name? He went when he was 17, from his big fat, what was his name? I'm sorry about this, forget his name. And he went over as a 17-year-old to New York. He saved from Ireland. And when he got to New York, what was his family name? His whole family consisted, cousins, brothers, sisters, mum and dad, aunties and uncles. 139. 139 of the family. And after the famine, he did well, the lad. He did well. He went over, I think, in 1832, 33. And he came back, he done well. And he came back to Ireland looking for his family to bring them back. Because all correspondence had stopped. There was hardly any correspondence anyway. And when he got back, he found out that every one of them were dead. He was the only one left. His name will come to me. He was the only one left out of 139 of them, Anthony.
Disgusting.
39.
Genocide.
Yeah. And as George Bernard Shaw said, how could there be a famine when the country was full of food? It's a very famous quote. The Irish and in Ireland, what was going on. So you're right there, James. And Gary says, I'm from Edgehill, Liverpool 7. Was there a community settled around there apart from the Irish? Going back a long way. The Irish, most of the Irish settled around the Scotland Road area. It wasn't until, believe it or not, after the war, after the Second World War, they started to move out. Is
that part of the council, the likes of Scotland Road, where the councillors decided that we're going to move everyone out? So Kirby. So that's where.
Yeah. Then later on, you're spot on there. Then later on, they built another new town called Skelmersdale.
Yeah.
And they wanted them to move out there. I don't want to talk about sectarianism, I'm being honest there, because there was a hell of a lot of sectarianism in Liverpool at the time. And you're talking about a man who came up from Sussex, great orator, by the name of George Wise. Then you had the Wiseites. And the Wiseites were, I don't like going into it, about George Wise and the Wiseites. And it was shocking at the time. So you had the Catholic community, the Irish and the Italians living around the Scotland Road area, whereas in the Everton area, around Everton Road, that's where you had the Protestants. Excuse me, I've just got a message here.
Yeah.
Won't be a minute.
Is that also why the bulk of the Scottish lived in that part of the world, because they were essentially of England?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, of course. Uh, see, I don't want to really go into sectarianism because it might upset people.
Well,
I used to do when I went into lectures and classes. People used to say, "Oh, you know, you're favourable to the Protestants," and other people say, "Oh, you're favourable to the Catholics." And I say, "No, I'm not. It's just the way it was.
yeah,
It's just the way it was. It was happening. It happened in Liverpool at the time,
yeah,
which was shocking. It really was shocking. Sectarianism. I'll give you an idea. I'll give you an idea. I think it's in Derry, whereas you had, I hope I can get this, hang on, you had the Catholics here and you had the Protestants up here. Why it was done that way is so that, this is madness, the Catholics could look up, they were looking up towards the Protestant community, and the Protestant community were looking down on the Catholics, looked down upon them. And the same was here. I know it sounds shocking. It was in Scotland Road, which was here. No, which was here. Hang on, where am I? And Netherfield Road, which was up there. So it was the very same, if you know what I mean. It was the
yeah,
very same, looking down, and these looking up. And that's the way it was. Terrible sectarianism.
yeah,
In 1851, reformers went from the city centre. They came from up by where they were all living. I'm talking about the non-Catholic community. I'll just say that. I'll try to be as nice as possible, and then go down into the city centre. And where they lived was, as I said, was in the Scotland Road area. And he gets to the march, the reformers marched with a statue of the Madonna. I'll just say the Madonna.
yeah,
Marched down. And you know the lamps, that the street lamps, you know, the gas lamps with the arms
yeah,
out. They hanged the Madonna and left it there hanging, you know, to intimidate the Catholic community. You see, so that was going on. I hate talking about it, I really do, because we've moved on so much now. We've moved on. And Lynn says Scotty Roads was highly populated there. Of course it was, Lynn.
yeah,
James M.K., a great book on the Irish famine, sorry, genocide, the truth behind the Irish, Jerry Mulville. Yeah. I used to have it. There's another one by Frank. It'll come to me. Frank. Brilliant as well. KP, James, thanks. I'm off to Dublin in the morning for a day's research on my ancestry. That's brilliant, that.
yeah,
I don't know what I said to somebody a while back. Go to the Famine Museum in Dublin if it's still there, because I'm sure something happened to it. But if you make their KP, incredible what you see.
there's an incredible heritage unit set up at St. Anthony's by our good friend Bishop Tom Williams just before he left St. Anthony's to become a bishop. But he strove for years and years to have a heritage centre set up at St. Anthony's so that families from in the city and visitors can track and research. And we were there when it opened in, I think, 2001. And I hope it's still there. I haven't been in for a long time, St. Anthony's, but
but that's the way Liverpool was at the time.
Yeah,
it was just nuts. So when the second's off, we'll carry on because I still have more pictures to show.
Yeah,
and just get better, like.
Well,
so,
history, Frank. You can't hide from.
You can't hide history, no.
And we shouldn't, we shouldn't glorify certain acts of evilness, and we shouldn't hide it.
Well, I gave a podcast to this lad by the name of Padre Cronin. He asked me, he said, I believe you know about the Irish. Will you come on my podcast and, talk about them as a Liverpudlian? I said, yeah, very Irish. So I said, yeah. So I did a podcast with him. But I could say, what was happening. But it was mainly about the potato famine and going back to 1566 and Sir Humphrey Gilbert.
Yeah.
I went right through it. There wasn't just one famine, There were 6.
Yeah.
There were 6. And it was the English trying to destroy the Irish. And it goes right back to Cromwell. Absolutely. It goes right back to him. The Irish were hated.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Go on.
Even following that, you had genuine people having to flee their homes because of persecution from the Black and Tans. You had all that going on.
Absolutely. It was dreadful. They just executed, again, we just talk about executions and, how disgusting they are, just executing people for the sake of executing people.
Well, that's how our great did up here. Yeah. Age 16, our great nan came to Scotland Road, St. Anthony's area because of that persecution.
Yes, that's what it was. It was persecution.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going for a break here. I'll see you after the break and we'll carry on.
Fantastic.
The Port of Liverpool building was the first to be erected of the 3 Graces in 1907, and the eminent architect was Sir Arnold Thornley. Looking at this stunning building, you could be forgiven if you thought that you were in Rome or Florence, Italy. Yet, we are here on Liverpool's famous waterfront and the New World Heritage Site. Here in the reception area, we have the Italian terrazzo with its wonderful mosaic compass. The Port of Liverpool building is mainly used for offices, and you can imagine the thousands of feet crossing over. Yet, very few know of the terrazzo and the compass's history. Italian migrants came over to Liverpool and plied their trade to make enough money for passage to America. That is how the building and others are graced with such fine Italian work as the terrazzo. Do we know the names of any of these talented men who laid the fabulous floor. You won't find them on a roll of honour, but you will find them tucked away in the terrazzo floor itself. Directly above the compass, you will find the central magnificent dome. Behind this unassuming door is a perfect example of Liverpool's architecture, unseen. It's a bit of a climb, as you can imagine, but when we get to the top, it's well worth it, because through this door is another gem which you will see on Liverpool's architecture unseen. We are now in the inner dome, and I'm sorry to keep it in the dark, because a matter of 60 years ago, we had a little Wales War, and it's been blacked out ever since. If you're scared of heights, look away now. Luckily enough, through restoration, the dome will be back to its former glory, and that means lighter shades like pastels, cream, where from ground level and even right up here in the heart of the dome, you'll be able to see the wonderful friezes and covings. During the Second World War, and in particular the May Blitz of 1941, the vibrations of the bombs damaged the structure of the central dome. The iron girders that you can see were cemented and bricked in after the war to stabilise the dome itself in case it toppled over. Earlier, we had seen the mark left by the terrazzo floor layers. And just like in modern times, our builders also left their mark. This is the pinnacle of the Port of Liverpool building, a part of Liverpool's architecture unseen. This is the cantilever staircase with its stained glass windows of every country throughout the old British Empire. Everything in the building has a nautical theme, right down to the lamp standards, as you can see, the dolphins. So the next time you walk through the Port of Liverpool, you'll be able to see some of the wonders for yourself of this magnificent building.
What do you think of that?
Love it.
Frank.
Love it. And it's a strange one, but if you talk to people about coming to Liverpool and mosaic flooring, everyone will think of St. George's Hall, because you don't really get the opportunity to go to the Port of Liverpool, which, as we know, is
It's proper terrazzo.
mind blowing.
It really is. I'll explain that in a moment, actually. I'm glad you mentioned St. George's Hall. I really am. Anyway, I'll just go on and see what these comments are saying. There's quite a few, actually. James M.K. This is another great book about the Native Indian. Native American, yeah. Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. A book by D. Brown. Do you know, I'm going to talk about America, actually, on Friday night, you know, during the current affairs. I'll be talking about them. If anyone would like to join me. I'll be talking about a lot of things, actually. And the American native.
Brilliant.
Absolutely indigenous, that is. James says, potato was one crop, there was 26 crops, dairy, berries, meat, chicken, fish, loads of other veg, beef. Yeah, they weren't allowed to eat meat because they were working the land. They were given little plots of land, the workers. They were given little plots of land. They could work, whereas they were working on these big farms. And they weren't allowed to, they got no money. They had no money to spend. So what they grew themselves, they ate. Then they were chased off. Catalyst, James Course, there was lots of it. That's why George Bernard Shaw said, how could there be a famine when the country was full of food? And there were 6 famines from 1566 onwards when what's his name? Sir Humphrey Gilbert. When Sir Humphrey Gilbert said, I want to scorch the land. Because he used Ireland as a stepping stone, as an experiment, because he wanted to get over to America. And he couldn't go to, like, France, could he? He couldn't go to Spain. He couldn't go to Holland. So the next step he looked at was Ireland. Yeah, we go over there, see if we could put them to the sword. I've got a book there. Should have got it, really. Should have got it out. And what it said, a fella by the name of Thomas Churchyard, he said from here, by the way, over to Ireland. And Thomas Churchyard was a Liverpool scribe. And he actually said they put every man, woman, and child of them to the sword. This is Sir Humphrey Gilbert's lot. And he has a line of heads, half a mile long, heads on a stake, so that people were going up, these landowners, and knocking on the door of the tent to forfeit their land. That's what the English did. And it took them 3 years. It took the other fella, Sir Humphrey Gilbert, who was the half-brother of Sir Walter Raleigh, 3 years, and he left it in disarray. And it's still going on today, believe it or not. Because, you know, you're getting the Irish saying we want an all-Ireland. And, you know, so it still goes on today. And there were 6 famines after that. I'll give you every year. 1566, when the lands were scorched. 1727, 1729, 1740, 1800, and 1845. All famines Hundreds of thousands died urinals before 1845. Hundreds of thousands of people starved to death. Shocking what the English did. What the English did. But anyway, let's get on to this, what these lads are saying, the blogs. Someone told me not long ago that there have been something, a Viking, I think, it was another ship in sailed massively over the Wirral. I thought that area was more Roman than Viking. No, the Vikings got everywhere. Vikings got all over the place.
Yeah. Where we live is named by the Vikings.
Hundreds of years after the Vikings, you know, they came over in AD 43. The Vikings came over around the 700s after the Romans left.
Yeah.
In the 500s or the 600s. And James, Choctaw Nation of American Native Indians who had gone through the Trail of Tears sent food to the Irish. Food was fed to the cattle, $170 worth. Yes. Yes. I'd recommend a book later on if you want to have a read up on this. Trade, plunder, and something that I'll get the proper title. Richard, hi Frank, can you no LFC tonight? That's tomorrow night. Sorry, Richard. This is a history show. Love a few chips. I love a few of Gianelli's chips. I bet they were.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, Anthony, yourself, everyone else who lives around there, and Frankie Raines. So, yeah, James, honestly, unbelievable. They had their own recipe, and it went with them. Unfortunately, I went with them.
When did they close? When did it fold away, Frank?
Oh, when? It was definitely the early 80s when they decided to pull down Jarrett Gardens.
Yeah.
And you know what, me and a mate, I grew up with this, lads. You know, little kid, we used to play cowboys and Indians, fully enough. As 3 and 4 year olds, and used to get big cardboard boxes. I don't know where they came from. Like, and we used to get in it and pretend that they were ships. And cowboys and Indians, it was great. Tommy Clark, and we went down. We were just chatting one day, and we went down to the site where it was being knocked down, Jarrett Gardens, Jarrett Crescent.
Wow.
That's where we grew up. And you know what? We looked over, and it was such a small site for thousands of people. It's a very small site. And Tommy, was standing there and looked at him, and he has a tear in his eye. He said, I can't believe this. He said, everything's gone, the memories. Jay, hello boys, hello the boys and gals. James says, in 1840, Canada, a plan was hatched by the clergy and business people to bring the natives of 5 countries into line as they looked at them as savages. Yeah, well, the white man, in America viewed the indigenous American native as savages, just like we viewed the Africans and the Indians. I'm talking about the subcontinent here. And then, the lovely people in Australia, and the Maoris in New Zealand, and all the Pacific Islands.
Yeah, but
All
it's
savages. And we put them to death. Those 5 countries were Canada, Ireland, South Africa, Australia, they are, look. Yeah. Well done, James. Didn't see that. Cilla Blackledge on Scotty Rowe. Surprise, surprise, says Pak Hong Chow. I'm sorry, I hope I did mention the Chinese as communities, because they were the first, to be honest. 1824. Pitt Street. Chinese. Wonderful people. And Lynn says, KP, do you know the Central Library has a family history area Tuesday afternoon, 1 p.m. They have all the info there. Brilliant. Jay, had me sweating over the internet. You know. And a pie for me. Thanks, Jay. You know the saying, says James, have a roof over your heads. That's huge in Ireland. Why? Because if you could not pay your rent, the redcoats would take the roof off your home and leave you to freeze to death. They used to burn it. They used to burn if it was touched. Ali the Noose. Good evening, Ali. Good evening, mate. And I'll just go to Pak Hong Chan says, Sinead O'Connor sang Famine, in which she says there was no famine. Absolutely, there wasn't. It was a starvation.
Organised starvation.
Organised starvation, absolutely. Absolutely. Good grief. At least they know, don't they know? She says all the foods were sent to England under that. They were, because you're so right, Pat. You're so right, Pat. Simply because there was potatoes, as I mentioned before, there was potatoes being exported from Ireland into England. And it was called the potato famine, you know what I mean? And as I keep reiterating the quote by George Bernard Shaw, how could there be a famine when the country was full of food? I'll tell you, they were great people to the Irish. Really good. They went over to help. They brought clothing. They brought food, what food they could. And they were the Quakers. They were the Quakers. Good night, KP. Safe journey. That's nice. The vlogs. Great show, guys. Everyone hit that like button. Thank you. No one's us. Anyway, to get the chip recipe, open a Gianelli chip shop. How great that would be. Frank, look into it, says James. To be honest, I don't know what the recipe is. Don't know what the recipe is. When I think about it. I used to hang around with Russell Santangeli, whose family grew up around Chinatown and Pitt Street. Any cousin of the Santangelis were there? I don't know about Russell, but the Santangelis, they owned, so I'll tell you what they owned, Mark. Show you that right now. They owned, where you see that a little ice cream van it is, in Gerrard Street. And they owned a little ice cream parlour called Santangeli. And they were our cousins, Santangeli is on the the Valances, who were us. I think it's great. See the Capaldis there, look.
Yeah.
It's incredible. There used to be a fellow, Jerry Chiappi, on Scotland Road. Now get onto this. Get onto this. He used to have all his gelati on little, ice cream on little saucer things. And they kept breaking because kids, like me stupid self, dropped them on the tile floor and they broke. And he went up to the priest, St. Joseph's School, I went to, and he asked the priest who makes the communion. Got sold. He got sold, and he went to see this fella who made them, and he said, "Can you make them about this big, and burn them, make them so they won't melt in your mouth?" So he said, "Yeah, okay." And he did them. It's so that Jerry could put the ice cream onto these things, and that became the wafer.
Wow.
Incredible, isn't it?
Wow.
Imagine that. I'll just have to take this. I keep getting. I'm doing a bloody show and I'm getting messages. Do you know I'm doing a show? Oh, poorly. Big one. Please, I'm sorry. Sorry about this. I didn't realise that I was there too. It's funny, and asked, I still do it. Oh, she's just reminded me. Anthony, I'm giving that talk this Friday. Is it Friday?
Okay, Frank, where are you?
Friday. Over there, you know where I gave that talk to?
The same boozer, yeah.
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 Let's sense through the time and stuff, and we'll
Will do. Will do. Absolutely. Absolutely. And JM, great show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. JM says, hang on, let's take this off so I can read out. Isn't there a Quaker burial site under a pub in Liverpool? We used to, where I grew up, there used to be Winstanleys, and they were the Quakers. I didn't know that some years later. And we used to go over there. It was a youth club with little mad kids. And it was great. It was great. And they used to have like dinners of a day. Dinners of a day, for people. And I'm talking about people who are hard up. Fantastic. Fantastic. My parents had a chippy in Townshend Lane by Anfield in the 60s and early 70s. So he's pack lunch.
Wow.
You could make great curry as well, couldn't you, right? Pack lovely curry, Chinese curry, the best in the world. And yet, they weren't the curry people. they just got into it, and because I love Chinese food. I love Chinese. Oh yeah, there's Leo's goals. Hey guys, how's it going? I just came back from seeing Joker. This is a history, Leo's. This is a history show. Football tomorrow. Tune in. Aaron Lindsay's always a great show, Frank. Thank you, Lynn. And Leone, I think that is. That's that Leo's goals, I think he's letting on to. So let me just say, let me carry on with this, because where you have the Irish, so you have the Italians there, you have the gelati, the ice cream, you have everything. But what brought it out as well is music between the two communities. The Italians brought colour. The Irish brought laughter and generosity along with the Italians. And that's why you had the two communities obviously interacting with one another. You had lots of Irish marrying into the Italians. That's why there's a hell of a lot of people in Liverpool today, no matter what names they have, if they don't have an Italian in it, like me, for example, my mum married a New Zealand fella, and I've got a name Carlyle. Yeah, we've got cousins, Valances, through the uncles, because my mother had brothers and sisters. And their names, totally different, because they married these fellas, if you know what I mean. Without Italian names. I'd say to me, old girl, I said, why didn't you marry some Italian? She said, they weren't good enough. I said, oh, okay then. I can't argue with that. That's nice. There's, Leo's goals saying, letting know. I love that. When they recognise him. What was you going to say there?
All I was going to say was, again, we've talked about it, and you talked about it often over the past, but it kind of mirrors what went on in New York as well, with the Irish and the Italians and the bond over there. And indeed, I think Bruce Springsteen who's coming to our glorious city, was of Italian and Irish descent.
And as James says there, I love the old black and white photos, like the movies. There is something classic about them. And the detail, like if I'm doing a portrait, I prefer to do it in pencil, black and white sketch. Well, there's your man there, right underneath me as I look. That's the great friend's international artist, Anthony Brown. He knows all about drawings and things. Yeah. Mighty Red says, Leo, is it as bad as everyone says? I don't know. Oh, the Joker he's talking about. And Ali says, over to you, bro. Leo goes, welcome to the Liverpool history. Thank you. Remember the Capaldi's ice cream shop in Kensington? Says, yeah. And the Irish chat, gift to the gab as well, says James. Yes. Hope everyone is having a fantastic evening, says the Mighty Red tonight. That's great.
Yeah. Thanks.
And there's our Dutch friend. Let me just Let me just take that down. Look at this lad's name. Just Gus. How's that? How's that? Who is this? Who is this? But anyway, I want to carry on about these wonderful people. And look at that. And
Yes.
what has happened? Do you ever remember the processions, Anthony? You used to have processions, you know, church processions.
Yeah,
Going
yeah,
around the streets. Just
Yeah.
going around the streets, which was absolutely wonderful, you know. And it was great. You know, our mums used to, you know, dress us up. Used to, from the church, you know, go around. It was great, you know. Well, great for us, like as little mad kids, but
Yes.
having to do our, you know, what we're told to do and going around. But what came from it was this. And I thought it was fabulous, you know the memories of it. And
Yeah.
that was May processions.
Yes.
The May procession where the kids, you know, like me little self, like yourself, got dressed up along with the girls. And we used to walk around the streets. And we used to get money off people.
Yeah.
So it was great for us, you know, going around the streets in a May procession. And you were all right. There was none of this what you get on today. You were safe back in the day.
Yeah.
You were safe. We were kids walking around the streets, all dressed up.
Yeah.
Make procession. So you see. Now, when you said about the terrazzo,
Yeah.
right? Now there's the terrazzo right there, right the top there.
Yeah.
To Specker and Co. Now, what had happened, we couldn't, we never had the experience of putting the terrazzo floor down, the mosaic. Just never happened. The nearest thing we got to it was what you see there, the big circle in St. George's Hall, which is a Minton tiles. Minton tiled. So that's a Minton tile floor. And, you know, you get the likes of the one on the right, the extreme right, which is absolutely fantastic. And that's mosaic. And that's in the Port of Liverpool building. It's a, what you call it? It's a compass. A compass.
Yeah.
Of, you know, of mosaic.
Yeah.
It's incredible. You've got to look at my old university, the clock tower, Brownlow Hill, where it's a mosaic clock, the only one found in the world, a mosaic clock. So, and it's strange. Well, it's not strange. I think it's a great thing. There was a fellow. He was Pietro Salvatini. His name was Italian, and he was doing that clock, putting it all in. You know, the mosaic.
Yeah.
Brownlow Hill. And a fellow by the name of George Grayson, you know, was looking at him and he went, oh, this is great, this. And he said, will you do a job for me? And he went, yeah. You know, the way, like, say, like you're a painter and you paint the way, and, you know, all of a sudden someone comes along and gives you the foreigner. He called it foreigners, didn't he? So, anyway, this Pietro Salvatini said, yeah, sure. He said, where is it? And anyway, he showed him. He said, do you see that up there? And it was like a block like that, you know, big gap like that. He said, I want that done in mosaic, what you're doing there, nice and colourful, but I want ships on it. ships. So he said, oh, okay. And he gave the reason why, because it was a maritime insurance building.
Oh,
So he went out, he did it, Anthony, and you know where it is, and it's in Castle Street. And when you look up the building, you see it, what this Pietro Salvatini did for George Grayson, the architect, in Castle Street. Fantastic.
and it's still there.
Still there, all powerful and everything. I actually filmed it when I was doing the DVDs. I actually filmed it, and it's brilliant.
We've got to get down there, Frank.
Yeah. And I'm off tonight. Good night, Frank, Anthony, and everyone. Same time next week, says Lynn Ellis. Good night, Lynn.
And all the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen to this. I always liked the Orange Lodge Parade. Well, they did bang the drums and, you know,
God find the OK Corral.
Those were the days we had fun as kids, says Lynn. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Juice says, I see it now. Pietro again, he invented the grid as well. No, that was Paolo Ferranti. He did the grid, used. He was born at the top of Bold Street to Italian parents. Paolo Ferranti. And Pietro Salvatini, he did a bust of, I think, one of my great heroines, and that was Nurse Jones. She came to Liverpool in 1860, and when she was hired, actually, she became the first paid nurse in the world. She was hired by William Radcliffe. Not William Radcliffe, I'm sorry. Not William Radcliffe. He was a VC. Sorry, not William Radcliffe. William Rathbone. And she went into the deprived, just like Kitty Wilkinson. She went into the deprived, looking after people who were suffering from cholera, dysentery, typhoid.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she died. And her particular portrait is in the noble women's window in the Anglican Cathedral, along with Kitty Wilkinson.
Yeah. I think, if I remember rightly, at her funeral, Agnes Jones, the priest, whose name I forget, first came out with the statement, "Angels walk amongst us."
Yes.
In honor of her and her work, because she didn't have to do it. She chose to do it, even knowing the dangers.
And died doing it.
Yeah.
Died to after 4 years here. And she's buried in, she's actually buried in Ireland. They brought her over to Ireland and buried her there. She came up from Cambridge, by the way. She came up from Cambridge. Is there any more on this? No, that's that. I'll be bringing something else on a little bit later on, which we'll talk about. And, oh yeah, I said that. And Pakun Chan. There's a light show set to music at St. George's Hill ends Sunday. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's been there, I think, yeah.
I didn't know that. The late show. And there it is. There it is. Near this place in 1847, some 2,600 destitute Irish famine migrants were buried in the unmarked pauper grave. They had died in extreme poverty in the parish of Liverpool, so ending their flight from the Great Hunger, 1845 to 1852. How about that? It's done in both English and Gaelic.
Yeah.
We're going to digress now. I hope you enjoyed this about the Irish and the Italians coming over. We brought great laughter. You know, they went through some terrible periods of life with the Irish. But so did the Italians. The Italians escaped the drought and everything else from southern Italy. They were bloody starving as well.
Yeah.
And it was called like the Great Piaggio Grande, which was the Great Walk.
Yeah.
And half of them walked from Italy to the English Channel. Somehow they got over the English Channel, got to England, and walked up to bloody Liverpool.
Yeah. Yeah.
To get to America.
I think that is one of the greatest achievements in Liverpool, is the fact that it's been called many things by our team, our people who are with us, but the melting pot of cultures and people make us absolutely like nowhere else, just solid.
Absolutely, because when we had the capital culture, the Echo was saying, "Can you're asking people to come out with a quote."
Yeah.
I never put anything in, but this lady did. I don't know the lady's name. I wish I knew her. Knew her name, that is. And she came out with, I reckon, one of the best slogans ever about Liverpool. And she said, "The world in one city."
Yeah.
You can't get any better than that. The world in one city. And if someone's listening and they know who said this, just tell her that I always mention.
Yeah.
Because I think it's one of the finest slogans for our great city.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about this great fella. And it's his birthday, isn't it?
Well, today's the day we lost him, sadly. We lost him in very strange, and even in our modern day, there's no real conclusive reason why he died. There's a few theories. He wasn't very well, and when he died, it became mythology almost immediately. And we're talking about here, and we're looking at Edgar Allan Poe, who I think was one of the finest writers in American history. Now, he wasn't lauded, he wasn't applauded in his lifetime. He was a jobbing writer, wrote for magazines, and he crafted and wrote some of the most astounding stories, poems, verses. And he was just a remarkable man. He was their version of Dickens, I would say. And from what I established, that they never met in person, but they were both aware of each other. I think there's a matter of I think Edgar died about 30 years before Charles Dickens. Edgar died and he was 40 years old, which is, I don't know, young or older in the 1800s, but they both appreciated what each other were doing. And I love that. And he's been part of my kind of band of heroes. You know, when we imagine that kind of table full of dinner guests, who would you have on the table? He would definitely be one of mine.
Oh yeah, well, I think that's great, though. And you know, for next week, if you don't mind, we'll have a little thing on that. Who would you like sitting around the dinner table if you can invite 6 people and you're the 7th? You've invited them. Don't say nothing now. And we'll ask them, you know, the lovely people on the chat, who would they invite?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who would they invite? I think that's a great idea. That, and I know some of the people that will come out. And I always remember when I was on LFC TV, they said, "Will you pick your best team? You know, your finest." I'm going back years ago. I'm going back when Fernando Torres was playing for us. And, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said to Claire Oak, she was fronting the show at the time. She said, "Who's your, you know?" Before I said, "It's not who you're picking; it's who you're leaving out," which was very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard to do. So you know, it's like that, Anthony. It's like that.
It is hard, Frank. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I think you and I have talked about this quite lovingly in the past.
Yeah.
These are drawings from I think a heroic Scouser.
Yeah.
In the 1800s, who did not get the breaks that he should have got.
No.
Such is life.
James Carling.
And yeah. And these are part of the selection of illustrations that Carling was hired to do for Edgar Allan Poe's most famous work, The Raven. And although they were chosen, it didn't progress from there for him, for the young artist. And you've got to be fairly well supported, both mentally and financially, to be an artist. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. And he travelled all the way to America, delivered his package of work, which he should be tremendously, his family and he would have been tremendously proud of. And then to be kind of knocked back, if you like, and then to come home in the same abject poverty as you go out there.
Penniless.
Frank, yeah. And we hear that story time and time again with wonderful folk from Liverpool.
And you know what, as well, Anthony, he was a street pavement artist as a child, kid.
Yeah.
He used to draw, trying to get money.
Yeah.
And he was actually arrested for begging.
Yeah.
On the streets of Liverpool, especially in the city centre.
Yeah. Sailors would get off the boat, see his wonderful works, say, wow, there you go, kid. There's whatever, 50 pence as it was. And that was immediately seen as a threat. So they round him up.
Yeah. And Look at that there. It's mind blowing, isn't it? That particular drawing where you see a fella sitting on a couch
Yeah,
and his legs is wrecked, not because of a drink or anything, but
no.
look at in the background.
The atmosphere in it, Frank.
It's
And
yeah, it's
it's
blackened, and the silhouette in the background there.
absolute.
It's frightening.
I
It's
think it was James who was talking to us before about working in black and white. It's there we go again. Like we don't need colour in that. The suspense and the atmosphere and everything is in that black and white drawing, painting, which probably would have been watercolour and pencil. Just, it's, I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm seeing William Blake. It's that kind of
yeah,
power.
Blake. Yeah,
Yeah,
very parallel to Blake. Very parallel. Do you know what I had this. It was very. It was very big. I bought it. I was in a. I forget where I bought it. I think it was a car boot sale or something.
yeah,
Big, big thing like that, wide, and it has all his Blake I'm talking about. It has
wow,
all his drawings in it, and it was called the Book of Tell, Thall, Tell, the Book of Tell. What it insinuated, it was hell. It was hell, the Book of Tell, the hell, if you like. And
yeah,
blimey, monsters in it, monsters in your mind. It's just like that, going back to the first one. Might I add? Just let me do this. Look at that.
that is
Look
like,
at that.
you know that
Right?
there's ominous in that background, but you don't know what it is. And
No,
this figure seems oblivious to what's going on there.
very
It's,
sinister, isn't it? Really, but
oh, it's
then
absolutely,
when you go to that, Anthony, the contrast here from that to that.
yeah, absolutely mind blowing, wonderful.
Angel.
And, and you said it before, you were talking about being kids, right? When we're kids and we have the freedom without education, without teachers telling you to don't say that, behave, and putting us in boxes. Our greatest ally is our imagination. So if you can keep that imagination intact as you reach a stage, there's a wonderful quotation from Pablo Picasso, which is one of my favorites, which is basically every child is born an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist when you grow up because it's knocked out of us. Our imagination is curtailed, and you're told, don't think like that, read that, don't think like that, don't say that. This is like imagination just at its height.
It is. You see, when you get the likes of, we have to bring Blake into the equation, and Edgar Allan Poe. I'm sorry, James Carlyle. What you've got two very similar mind-blowing experiences.
Yeah,
You've got to think what they've seen, what they drew. Look at that. Just
yeah,
look at that. I'll try and get Blake's, not tonight. Tell you what I'll do. Next week, when we do this series, you like to be sitting around. Shall we talk about? Shall we talk about Blake and Carling and this fella? Now, I've just seen this now. Where am I? Hang on. James. he says, wow, I love that art. It reminds me of a Gaudi or Blake.
Yeah.
So how about doing 4 artists? I know it's a history show and it's supposed to be about Liverpool, but we've got a great connection with James Carlyle and their mind-blowing experiences.
Yeah,
Right?
and it's as you've always done, and as for I'm inspired every time I come on the show and listen, because you put me onto something I know nothing about or little about, so I'll go away and study, and I think everyone does the same, and it's true in history that you only need that little trigger, and then you're onto something. I mean, this is just no one would have told these guys. No one would have told James William Carling, listen, I've got in mind you do this drawing and that's in the background and do that. No one would have said, they'd have just said, we want something suitable to illustrate this poem. You go away, do something and come back, which is the hardest gig ever to have when someone says, go away and do something that we think we should like, and then we'll give you the job.
Okay, so what I'll do, I always forget this bloody fella's name. We'll do an artist from Liverpool, James Carling. We'll do Blake, got to do Blake, got to do him. And how about Salvador Dali?
Charlie?
Do those 4. I'll give you this name of this Liverpool art. I always forget his bloody name. And I should be ashamed of myself, actually, because I love him. So we'll do those 4. With a couple of yours, by the way, if you don't mind, Anthony. And, to give it the Liverpool flavour, so I won't be like going away from the Liverpool history, the Liverpool connection. So we'll do them. And also what we'll do, as I said about sitting around a table, who would your 6 be?
Yeah.
And the 6, I'm not talking about people from, like abroad or wherever, like whoever. I'm talking about who would you like to sit around? 6 Liverpool people.
Yeah.
What's your 6 Liverpool people who you'd like to sit in front of you and talk? How about that?
I think that's fantastic, Frank. Yeah.
So we'll do that next week.
That's our way of celebrating at least 6 or 12 Liverpool people. That would be brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, it will. It will be interesting to see what the lads and the girls have to say. Who would they like to be sitting around?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Don't forget, we've got some fantastic people from here.
Oh.
But don't say nothing. Don't say nothing because, you might be giving them ideas. If let them come out with their own ideas.
We have some of the greatest minds of history have come through and been born in this city.
Look at that. The shadow of the ID deep in the mind. Ego.
Yeah.
James says, yes, you lose that child as an adult plus the artist. That's only what you were saying there.
Yeah.
And it's only what you were saying there.
You have to regain a little bit of what imagination we have as a child, curiosity. Keep that with us forever.
What did they say? Curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah.
But now the thing about the cat, believe it or not, it's curious because they are curious cats. They look at you and they wonder. Point is, and I've said this before, why has there always been a cat in the pyramids found? You always see the big cats, big tall black cats.
Yeah.
And you know what? They don't know where the origins of the cat comes
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Absolutely.
Don't know. Haven't a clue.
Fascinating.
It is. It is when you think about it. And James M.K., to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in the wild flower holds infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Blake, my favourite of his.
Yeah.
That's a great quote. That.
Blake at his best. Yeah. Yeah.
As James says, though, yes, do it. So at least we're going to do it. And Mark Simons, hey Mark, there is a blue plaque of one of the great romantic poets of the 18th century on one of the dilapidated merchant houses in Duke Street. Her name is Felicia Dorothea Hemans, who Wordsworth worshipped. Yes, she was born, and her brother. She wrote a novel. No, not a novel. It was like a biography of a brother who actually was in the Napoleonic Wars. He was an officer alongside the Iron Duke himself, Dorothy Hemans. And I know exactly where her house is, and it's still there today. I think it's empty. Dorothy Hemans, great historic. And I said ages and ages ago to the council, I said, buy that and make it into a museum. They said, oh, we can't do it. I said, why not make it into it? Why not? I said, look, I go to Rome. I've been to Rome millions of times. And every time I go in there to Rome, I always go and visit two museums at the bottom of the Spanish Steps. That is John Keats, who I love, John Keats, and the other is Percy Bysshe Shelley. They lived side by side on each side of the steps, right at the bottom. And they used to meet. They used to come out, go along, sit on the steps, and talk to each other. I said, and I go, she'd be fantastic. I said, you've got East Chambray Hardman in Rodney Street. I said, there's a museum belonging to him because what you council were going to do was to give all this stuff away to Doncaster of all places until there was a Ferrari over it. Now it's a museum, a brilliant place to go and visit. I said, you can do the same with Heyman's house. Make that into a museum where it works. It works. Let's do something. She's a part of our heritage. She's a part of our culture.
Yeah. Applauding. Yeah.
I mentioned, I'm shocked, this dump councillor. And I said, have you ever heard of Sarah Biffin? And he went, who's she? I said, you've never heard of Sarah Biffin? And he went, who is she? Is she a writer? I said, no, she was one of the greatest artists, miniature artists, I said. And George the Third always wanted her work. Give me some of their work, give me some of Sarah's work. And the Queen, I was watching an interview with the Queen one day, not talking about artists or anything. She was just standing in front of this wall where you see loads of these miniature things.
Yeah.
Every one of them was Sarah Biffin's.
Sarah Biffin.
And he said, oh, so she was an artist, I said to you. And he went, oh, well, he said, where does she live? I said, Rodney Street. He went, go away. I said, yeah. I said, do you know what? He said, what? I said, she had no arms or legs. And do you know what he said to me? You're taking the piss. I said, oh, am I? I said, I'm not going to say anything. I said, you just read up on it. I haven't seen that fella since.
No.
I haven't a clue.
Well, Queen Victoria gave her a dowry, didn't she, in Sarah's latter years when she'd been abused financially and everything by
Her husband.
managers and so-called business people. Yeah, and she was given a dowry, and she's laid to rest, if I think rightly, in St James's Cemetery, along with another Liverpool artist, a gentleman whose name has just gone, but I'll have it by next week.
I know you will. Like me with the Liverpool artists. I feel ashamed. Anyway, James says, Einstein says imagination is far greater than knowledge.
Yes, well, certainly equal. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's, that just reminds me of Oscar Wilde and his quote, which is, I can resist anything except temptation. You look at that, look at the temptation that we get, and we have had temptation. And when you get temptation, you're like, shall I do it or what? But I'd say, about these lovely ladies, the lovely ladies always say, I'm going on a diet and I'm starting it on Monday. And they always finish it on the Tuesday. Again, I can resist anything except temptation.
Temptation, yeah.
So if you put a cake in front of them, they go. It's great. I love it, I just love it. Oh, there's Sean. Hello, Frank. Sorry I missed the show and I missed out on meeting you at the weekend. Maniac. Do you know, I was talking about the Irish tonight, Sean. The Irish and the Italians when they came to Liverpool. Pak Hung Chan. Sarah Biffin lived on she lived near Duke Street, just around the corner. She lived in Rodney Street. I know where the house is. Or, as they say, I know where the digs is. And Mark says, the boy stood on the burning deck when Saul but he had fled. The flame that lit the battle's wreck shone round him over the dead. Felicity, Dorothy, Hemmings. Yes, says Mark. Yes. And when I say about people, have you heard of Felicity Hemmings? And they go, no, never did, especially when it's at coach tours and passing her out. I said, well, have you ever heard the first opening line of this particular poem? And when I said the boy stood on the burning deck, everyone knew it. Everyone. And yet they didn't know who wrote it. Good man there, Mark. Good man. Gonna have to watch again. Just got back. Had to go and sort someone's laptop. He's great. Oh, he's brilliant. Great lad. And oh yeah. I was wondering what you were saying there. Meant to say manic, not maniac. So it comes out. You need to talk to Einstein. But anyway, people, I've just got to say a big thank you for joining me and my great friend Anthony.
Thank you. Thanks,
it's been good, hasn't it, Anthony?
It's been great, Frank. Another, I totally thoroughly enjoyed the learning what I thought I might know a bit about. Now I know a lot more about. But it's nice the way that the show veers off as well. I like that, with the input of the guys.
Oh, I always remember that quote, and I haven't seen it for years. And it was by the great Glenda Jackson, the lovely, great Glenda Jackson. When I Have to Cry. And this was in films as well, you know, when she had to cry in films. When I Have to Cry, I think about my love life, which was very tragic for that lovely lady, that wonderful Oscar winning, double Oscar winning. I think she won two. I know she won two.
Beacon of humanity, lovely lady.
Oh, have a great night, all, says Ali Moose. Don't forget tomorrow night's show, Ali. It's the football show. And Mark says, good night, God bless. Thank you, Mark.
Good night, Mark.
Pak Ong Chan. Thanks, Frank, Anthony, and Jay, for another great show.
Thanks, Jan. Thank you.
Thank you. What does artists you're going to talk about next week, Frank? Is it for? Yeah, it's for. It's, and I'm throwing Anthony in there as well. He'll be showing you some of his works as well. Do you know what I want you to show, Anthony, if you don't mind? I think it's a fantastic drawing. Do you know the the street on the fountain down by
Byron
Byron Street.
The Melly.
You show that?
Yeah, I'll send it through to Chase.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And a couple of your own as well.
Yeah.
A couple of your own. Absolutely brilliant. And James says, what does artists you talk about next week, Frank? Is it for? Yes. It'll be James Carling, William Blake, and James Carling, William Blake, this Liverpool artist, and what's his name? Did I say before? What's his bloody name? Salvador Dali. No, it's not. It is Salvador. No, is it Salvador? Salvador Dali. Yeah. And as I said, I'll mention this fella's next week. You'll be seeing pictures of him anyway. You know, pictures of his work, and you will know them. You will see the pictures. So that'll be good. And Anthony's work as well. I will be there. Thank you, Ali. That's on the football show tomorrow. Pak Ong Chan. Glenda Jackson's portrait is on a wall in Woodside Ferry Terminal.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
She was born in Birkenhead. Yeah, just up the road.
I know that. Isn't there a theatre named after it over there?
There was. Do you know what, Frank? And this is going to set us off again. But there was a theatre, and it was next door to a college where I passed my A-level. But in the great magic that is town planners and councillors, the theatre is no more. And there's a few houses built on the land where the theatre was. So there's respect for one of your own.
Absolutely. 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 Great show, gentlemen. Thanking you both. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
And those not us. That's my dyslexia. So anyway, people, just tune in tomorrow night, all you wonderful football fans. And
Byron Street.
I want you to show that next week.
Which is still on the wall.
Yeah, still there. I want you to show it next week and we'll talk about everything. So tomorrow night, people, the football show. I'll be doing a football show again on Thursday. On Friday, there'll be a podcast at 8 o'clock in the evening, which is about the current issues, not issues. You know, when you say issues, you know, current affairs, what's going on in the world today, really, what's being neglected for the sake of war and things like that. And it's just for me to thank this great man there facing me, Anthony.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch with you tomorrow, Anthony. Is that okay?
That's fab, Frank. Anytime.
Okay, thank you. And you people out there, there wouldn't be a show without Jason for setting everything up. And also, there'd be no show without you wonderful people out there. Really wouldn't. And Anthony and I, you know, we do our best to try and entertain. And I even have a laugh. Through great adversity. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you all.
Thank you, chat. I'll see you all.